Hello students, I am Rohitaj Singh Chauhan and I am here for discussing diffusion and oxidation. Now in this topic we are having different kinds of oxidation methods. First one is dry oxidation. HCl dry oxidation is straightforward using microprocessor controlled equipment. Wet oxidation. Wet oxidation can be carried out by pyrogenic technique with reacts H2 and O2 to form water vapor. High pressure oxidation. The parabolic rate constant B is directly proportional to the equilibrium bulk concentration in the oxide, which is proportional to the partial pressure of the oxidizing species in the gas phase. High pressure oxidation of silicon is attractive because thermal oxide layer can grow at relatively low temperature in runtime comparable to typical high temperature and low pressure. Another advantage is that oxidation induced defects are suppressed. For high temperature, high pressure, the oxidation time is reduced significantly. Now we are having plasma oxidation. The plasma oxidation process involves possibility of growing high quality oxide at temperature even lower than those achieved with high pressure technique. Plasma oxidation is a low temperature vacuum process and it is carried out in pure oxygen discharge. The plasma can be produced by two means: by means of a high frequency discharge, by a DC electron source. Oxide properties. In oxide properties, the refractive index of dry oxide decreases with increasing temperature. The H rate of thermal oxide varies with oxide density and with oxidation temperature. High pressure oxidation grown at high temperature exhibit high index of refraction, higher density and slower H rate. Now we are having oxide charges. We are having interface trap charge. This charge is located at SiO2 interface. It has energy states in silicon forbidden band gap and can interact with underlying silicon electrically. These charges result from several sources, including structural defects related to oxidation process, metallic impurities or bond breaking process. Fixed oxide charges. The fixed oxide charge is located in the oxide within approximately 30 angstrom of SiO2 interface. Mobile ionic charges. The mobile ionic charges CIM is attributed to alkali ions such as sodium, potassium, and lithium in the oxide, as well as no negative ions and heavy metals. The alkali ions are mobile even at room temperature when electric fields are present. Oxide trapped charge. The oxide trapped charge may be positive or negative due to holes or electrons trapped in bulk of oxide. This charge associated with defects of SiO2 may result from ionizing radiation, avalanche injection or high currents in the oxide. It can be annealed by low temperature treatment. Now, in the second slide, we are having some other oxidation types. Halogenic oxidation. In addition of halogenic species during dry oxidation results in significant improvements in the electronic properties of oxide and of the underlying silicon. Generally, we use chlorine for this purpose. Oxide with incorporated chlorine have high dielectric field strength and improved threshold stability. In addition, an improvement in the lifetime of the silicon results from the use of these oxide as well as reduction in the number of stacking faults. Now we are having anodic oxidation. Anodic oxidation or anodization is carried out by placing the semiconductor in an electrolytic cell as shown in the slide, where it is connected to the positive terminal of power supply so that it serves as the anode. A noble metal such as platinum is connected to the negative terminal of the supply and serve as a cathode. The source impedance of the supply can be kept low so that anodization occurs at constant voltage. Now we are having measurement of oxide thickness. Physical determination of the oxide thickness. In order to do physical measurement of oxide thickness, we require the production of a step in the oxide. Typically, this is done with a mask followed by an etch. HF acid etches oxide at much higher rate than it etches silicon. Therefore, if a mask is applied to the wafer immerses in HF and then the mask is removed. A step nearly equal to the oxide thickness will be left. Optical techniques. There are also several optical techniques that can be used to measure oxide thickness. The simplest is to partially immerse the unmasked wafer in dilute HF until the oxide on the submerged portion of the wafer is completely removed. Now we are having ellipsometry, the optical techniques. In this technique, a polarized coherent beam of light is reflected off the oxide surface at some angle. HENE lasers are commonly used as a source. The reflected light intensity is measured as a function of polarization angle. Interference. A second optical technique for measuring oxide thickness is interference. This system uses light at a nearly normal incidence to the film. The reflected light intensity is measured as a function of wavelength. Now, electrical techniques. Electrical techniques can also be used for measurement of oxide thickness. The simplest electrical measurement is the breakdown voltage. Breakdown voltage test. In this test, a large number of metal electrodes are formed on the top of oxide. The voltage on capacitor is increased while the electrical current through the oxide film is measured. The leakage current is too small to measure until a high electric field is reached. Eventually, for the oxide, a current will be detected that will rise exponentially with voltage. Time dependent dielectric breakdown TDDB test. It is the variant of breakdown voltage test. In this test, the oxide is stressed to a point just below the breakdown field. This may be done in constant current, constant voltage, or ramped modes. CV techniques. In CV techniques, it is more sensitive method of evaluating oxide thickness. Use capacitive voltage measurement. The wafer serves as a lower electrode. Assume for the moment that the substrate is doped p-type. If a negative voltage is applied to the gate, additional holes are drawn to the SiO2 interface. This condition is known as accumulation. Now, assume that a small AC signal is added to DC bias and the AC current is measured. The out-of-phase magnitude of this current is proportional to the capacitance. So, this is all about the topic. Thank you.